Again, my name is Ryan Tagg. I work with our existing clients to make sure they're aware of all the services that we offer and they're up to date on any changes that have come with those solutions, including what we're going to be reviewing today, which is Share and Perform. We have some really exciting news regarding this. Really, this tool is robust. There's a lot to it. What I typically tell the clients that I've worked with is that it's primarily focused on being a performance management, like an advanced performance management tool. But then there's quite a bit more to it than that. And now we're going to go through some of the changes that have been made to differentiate between the services within the platform. So we'll talk about, there's actually 3 different ways that you can take advantage of it now, rather than kind of having to buy into everything. So, one of the issues, I shouldn't say issues, but one of the questions that I would get pretty frequently when I would show clients Share and Perform is, I want this piece, but not this piece. So I want the performance management, but I don't need all the other stuff. So that's actually possible now. And we're going to go take a look at that in just a minute. I'm going to let, see if we'll have anybody else join again, just for another minute or 2. But again, if y'all have any questions or there's anything you want to take a look at, please let me know. The purpose of these webinars is to answer your questions, to keep everybody up to date. So if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to see right now or in the future, please just let me know. All right. So went ahead and shared my screen. And what I'd like to talk about first is what's changed for Share and Perform. I've done an overview of the service in the past on a previous webinar, and I'll do another high-level one in a moment. But before I hop into that, I would like to cover what is going to be different moving forward. So we have full Share and Perform, which includes everything listed down here in the lower left-hand corner. So feedback, engagement, goals, surveys, competencies. You see everything there. 9-box, which I'm going to talk about independently. Gamification rewards. If you don't know what these things are just yet, give me a minute and we'll hop into the actual software and take a look so you can understand a little bit more. But I wanted to put this out there before we take a look so that you understand the differences. So full Share and Perform would include all the solutions within the platform. Performance management, as you can see, would just include that portion of it. So it's just going to include things related to the advanced performance review tools. You see those listed there. The engagement and social features, where it's feedback, engagement, surveys, gamification, rewards. This is really a tool to provide your employees not only an outlet to engage with the company, but to communicate with one another, provide constant feedback with one another. And then it's also a repository for information. It's a little bit easier to parse, in my opinion, than like a Slack or a Teams or an email, where there's such constant communication going on that it becomes almost overwhelmed with information. It's difficult to find what you're looking for, even if you're searching for it. So what this does is it makes it a little bit more simple for you to manage the engagement and social piece and get that information to them in a more concise way. And please, if you can't hear me well, if you can't see my screen, shoot it into the Q&A and let me know. It's hard for me to tell unless you let me know. So here's the actual platform. So I'm going to start off at the home page. Now, I'm in here as an admin, so it's going to look a little bit different. I'm going to have multiple reviews that are pending rather than an employee that maybe only has 1 or 2. But any kind of action that's taking place will be listed in this action field. It's really a dashboard. I also have this bulletin board over here on the left. So this is another way that I feel like this platform differentiates itself from, say, like a Slack or a Teams, something like that. What I found in using those services is that their core function is immediate communication and not necessarily posting of what you see here, which is information that's going to be needed moving forward. So this is actually the way Dominion Payroll uses it. It's very similar to how we have it set up internally. We have volunteer opportunities. So one of the things Dominion Payroll does is we offer community hours. So every employee gets 3 days to use essentially PTO to go out and volunteer wherever they'd like, assuming it's a nonprofit. It's actual volunteering. That's the only requirement. But to describe that process, how to submit it, any limitations to it, they'd be able to go here. COVID, we all know that's sadly still a thing. HR, and you could see like how you could take advantage of this as a business. It's really easy to edit them. You can move them around. But when an employee logs in and sees this, they're going to have core information that they may need to reference repeatedly in one place, and it's really easy to find. You also have this feed. It's very similar to what you would see on a social media platform. And it's just updates. One of the ways we use it is, somebody, an employee buys a house for the first time. If they have a child, they get married, get the point, it'll be listed here. Company announcements will be posted here. And, again, like for me, when I look at this, and I've actually have friends that use something similar and that use this too. And the value that they find is that when they're looking for updates about company information, rather than having to go through an endless cycle of file emails or this text chain in Teams or Slack or wherever it is, it's a lot easier to go through this. Essentially, it's like a more interactive bulletin board where people can comment, they can like it, but it's a lot more simple way to get information to just kind of quickly go through, and it's not information overload, but you're able to put a lot out there. Taking that a step further, we have this Craze Wall, and I'll show the values in a second. Craze Wall is really a way to show the feedback. So feedback with, let's say, for example, I think Joe did a great job or Will did a great job on a project we had together. I can go in and click this plus button right here and share feedback about that. I can go ahead and select a project if I wanted to, what the feedback is. If it's not positive, you can spin it in a positive way and say that it's an opportunity to improve, or as my boss says, a moment for education. This can be anonymous. It can go directly to the person, and you can tag them in it. Let's see. And unless it's a technical issue, I'll go ahead and answer these questions a little bit towards the end. But thank you for the question. Actually, go ahead and answer it now. So Sonia, forgive me if I'm brutalizing your name there, but she asked, are we able to set up notifications via text or email when there's information and or messages that we should log on to see? Yes, not via text, but via email. Notifications would go out to employees. And say, for example, like what I was just talking about, where you have this feedback section there. Oops. When I'm going to provide feedback to someone, or you're requesting feedback, and you were to tag someone in that, you can enter the person's name, like Mason here, tag them. And once they're tagged, they'll get an email notification. And it'll also be listed if it's an actionable item that they need to review, like a performance review, for example. It'll be listed in that action bar that we were taking a look at initially. We also have this discretionary points. And I wanted to bring this up just because we're in here looking at it. But this is another way that you could provide feedback to employees. So say someone did a great job, I'm going to give you 50 points. You can see some badges here too. But the cool thing about this, and it's going to be rolled out sooner rather than later, is integrated within the software is going to be the ability to redeem these points for things like Amazon gift cards, Starbucks gift cards. And it's really going to be configurable by the organization of what you want to give out to your employees. But it's another way to provide an incentive for them to engage, provide feedback, post things. Really interact with the company is ultimately what that portion of it is made for. But you can also add notes, suggestions, like we were talking about before, posts. Suggestions, I think, is kind of an underutilized piece or under-discussed piece of this platform because it's a great way to make your employees feel like they're being heard in an organized way. It's one thing if somebody comes into the office and makes a suggestion. you may hear it and forget about it, but this way you actually have a log of any of those suggestions that you made it. You can also post their values here. And then there's a leaderboard. So I'm going to try to keep this pretty high level, but I did want to talk about that section in particular. Now I would like to kind of just indicate where these areas are going to be different. So like if you wanted full share and perform, it's going to include everything here. So it's going to include the engagement piece. That includes the feed, the knowledge, the Craze Wall, surveys, initiatives, things like that. So that's going to be the social media engagement platform. The performance management, I'm going to take a look at a little bit more in depth because that's going to include goal tracking. It's going to include reviews, and these reviews can be both static, so based like an annual review, for example, where it's January 1st, every in an organization gets a review. That's one way it can be set up. It can also be dynamic based on the work anniversary. So if somebody, you could set it up as a 90-day review. I think I actually have that in there too. A 90-day review, 6 months, whatever it is, but it could be based on the day they were hired. The reason I'm mentioning that is because with this goals platform, you can actually tie the goals into the performance reviews. So when you create a goal, sales quota, wellness programs, they can be based on a specific quantity or percentage, but you can tie these to the reviews themselves. So as an HR person, manager, whoever you are, when you go in and do that review, you can also evaluate how they're performing based on these goals. Another cool thing about these goals is they can be cascading. What that means is, and a good example of this is if you have a sales department, and then maybe you have multiple locations. Each location is working towards an overall sales goal, but you may want to have to track. I mean, you're going to want to track each location's performance independently of one another. What that can do is you can set up a goal here and have each location contribute to a larger goal while also doing it independently. And then again, when you're reviewing, you're doing your location reviews, you can go in and check how they're performing. Like I said before at the beginning, I've done a more in-depth webinar on how these reviews look. My primary goal here is to talk about some specifics that maybe I didn't mention before, but then also to indicate like you can break this off and only get this performance section. You won't see anything else. It'll keep it really simple if that's what your main focus is. You can just get the engagement piece now if you want, and that's all that's going to be included there if you're looking for a way to engage your employees more, to make it more interactive for them. Or you can get it all. It's up to you. So it gives you some options there. Lastly, I didn't mention this in the previous webinar, but these 360 reviews are a great way to nominate employees. So have employees nominate one another. It's a really, really great tool for peer review feedback. But then another part, and this is what I wanted to touch on that I had not spoken about before, is that you can send these reviews out to third parties. So if you are a business, like I just bought a house, right? So you can imagine I got a lot of people in there doing work. I got a yard guy, I got, painters, all this stuff. The painter sent me a survey to see, is there anything to improve on, whatever. And this is exactly what you can do with this. So when not only can you use this as a tool, like I want to, review how, like nominate Isabel to be reviewed. You can do that. John Griffin, he's our COO. Probably wouldn't nominate him, get upset with me. But it's a great tool to use internally and then externally. You can set up templates in here and then send it out to your clients. And they're really simple. So you can see right down here, they could add comments. But typically from what I've seen, it's anywhere from 3 to 6 questions. But it can be more if you want. It can be less, just be 1. But some of the things they sent me, is there anything you would improve? Did you feel like there was value, based on cost, things like that? And you can imagine there are a lot of different applications to use that, outside of just internal use as well. So these 360 reviews, so I just wanted to mention that because I don't think I did a great job explaining on the previous webinar the difference between 360 reviews and standard reviews, which are going to be more traditional. Again, you're going to have either static or dynamic ones. If you are an admin, you can come in here. You just want to look at the review actions. And if I wanted to take a look, I can go ahead and pull it up. And if you want like a deeper dive into all the different functionality within the review section, or really any piece of this software, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to do a one-on-one demo, or you can reference the previous webinar that I did. The other thing that I wanted to discuss today in a little more detail is this 9-box and what that is and why it has value. So, oops. Oh man, I thought I had it up there. So the 9-box is a great way. Actually, I just had a little description graphic, but I can go ahead and tell you. Each one of these boxes represents a value. So it could be needs improvement, it could be management material. And there's a standardized 9-box that is used really industry-wide, and it can be edited here too. But this is really a tool that you can use as an HR administrator, as a director of operations, to see how someone is doing really quickly and easily without having to read through a bunch of questions and comments and things like that. Like, is this person, ready for a promotion? Are they on a performance improvement plan? All those things can be indicated right here, again, really easily. Not only that, but you can see not just the specific employee, but if you wanted to, you could come in here and take a look at the entire organization or a department. I talked about this before in the previous webinar, but I touched on it again. The value, a real big value of this software versus an independent HR platform is that it is tied to payroll and how you have that set up. So your departments are going to carry over. And if you wanted to assign a review to the accounting department, you can do that really easily. But you can see, like, if I pull up the organization, I can do it by department here, organization, or you can create a custom team if you wanted to kind of split it off from payroll and do something independent of that. But this 9-box, and you can see what's listed there. And those are editable, those are configurable to the organization. I don't have to say these things. But it's a great way to evaluate not only individual employees really easily, but departments, organizations, and divisions. So just real fast, I want to take a look at down here. This is where you would assign it. You can assign it to, again, to a department or to an individual. You can share and then check the status of it here. Okay. So forgive me, the little zoom box is like covering up the top of my screen. I want to talk about what's included out of the box and a little bit about how the process to implement this service and what it looks like. So what's included, you see job competencies, 30 pre-built with the ability to create additional custom competencies. It's basically like what's involved in the job. So it gives you a good starting point. You're not having to create everything from scratch. Performance reviews, sample questions. So we can help with that if you don't have anything set up. Typically, the initial phase of implementation is to receive the client's performance reviews as they stand now. And what we'll do is we'll take that information, whatever schedule they're using, whatever reviews they're using, and build it in there for them. If you're taking advantage of a solution like that, we understand that you're probably going to want to change things or build upon them. But taking that initial step and collecting the information is really valuable to allow you to hit the ground running. Award badges. So personally, I think it's great to create custom badges and issue them out to employees and make things fun and a little bit lighthearted, if at all possible, particularly when you're talking about, something like performance reviews. It's not always the most exciting thing in the world. It has to be done. It's very important. But any way that you can make this platform that is a tool for administrators a little bit more exciting and engaging for employees, I think that's valuable. One of the examples I use in our learning management software is I have a badge of my dog. Her name is Squid. She's 13 pounds, so it's very funny and lighthearted. Oh, Connie. Sorry, Connie, I didn't mean to mispronounce your name. Connie asked, you said this is tied to payroll. Does that mean that if we review an employee awards a pay raise, can we tell the payroll system to initiate the increase, or that be a manual entry by us? So we do, it's going to be a little bit different. You're not going to be initiating that approval process via this platform, but it can be done within the payroll side of iSolved. So, you could send a message. It could just be done at the payroll side. You're not going to need to email someone, though. We could build a workflow notification system. And an example would be that, like, if my boss wanted to give me a raise, that would be great. But he needed to get approval from, the president. He could put that in, and then it could get approved by the president, and then make that adjustment once it's approved. So that it would be automated in that sense. We've got a notification system, but it's not going to be included in share and perform. Hopefully that answered your question. The Zoom box is just like the worst thing. It covers up all the important stuff. So rules. So we talked about the point section. Like if you do something, you have a post, you provide you complete your review, or whatever way you're engaging with the platform, you're issued points. You can actually dictate how many points you get for doing what, but the rules themselves are already built in just kind of as default, so you don't need to if you don't want to. But if you think it's more important that somebody praises, like an employee praises their peer versus, post an update that, we're having steak and cheese for lunch today, that can be configured by you as well. Leaderboards and reporting. So just like the payroll side of iSolved, all the information in here, or at least a vast majority of it, is reportable. And then these leaderboards can be exported also. So that's a great way to just, again, to track how people are engaging with the platform. So interest groups, another way just to kind of keep everything in one place. So from an HR perspective, what your employees are interested in, they have profiles. It's a great tool to get to know the employees a little bit better and to have all that information in one place. And, when I hear something like that, I'm thinking, this is really a comprehensive solution from an HR perspective, because not only do you have those advanced performance management tools, kind of like tacking on all this other stuff, surveys and interest groups, things like that. The interest groups in particular are a great way to build relationships among the employees themselves. So, when you have them fill this out, for example, if you find out that 4 employees are interested in photography, you call them all in together and you say, hey, look, you all filled this out, you're interested in photography. Maybe y'all want to get together and do a project, whatever it is, but you can kind of see how that could be used in a lot of different ways. And there's quite a bit to it. So I always try to keep these pretty quick. Looks like we have another question in here. Oh, thank you. You're welcome, Connie. So yeah, again, I try to keep these webinars about 20 to 30 minutes and open it up for questions at the end. If you have any suggestions of what you want to take a look at, a couple things we have coming up that we'll be covering later this month. In a couple weeks, I will be interviewing our director of HR, Shayna. She's a Dr. Cook, so she's a doctor. She has a background in HR and education, and I personally am really interested to sit down with her and learn more about how she's been handling everything with COVID. It seems like things have really shifted since last year, and now there are a lot of new challenges that she's had to deal with. Specifically at Dominion Payroll, but also I'd like to learn more about her background and how she's utilizing really a career in education, and now she's in payroll, right? So I'm sure that's been useful. And next month, I'm not positive we have anything scheduled for next month as far as product solutions are concerned. So if y'all do have any suggestions, feel free to shoot me an email. It's rtag@dominionpayroll.com. I think one of the things we'll cover again is applicant tracking, show that service. But again, if there's anything that y'all want to take a look at, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to do a one-on-one demo, or try to add it to the list next month. Yeah, and so Connie just sent a note saying that she's new, and if you are new, like you're new to iSolve, you're new to Dominion Payroll, I would encourage you. You can reach out to me. You can reach out. Please feel free to reach out directly with me. You can reach out to customer service and just say that we can schedule training. Also on our website, and I'll go ahead. So I'll give me one sec. So what I'm going to do, Connie, and I'll put this in the chat for you. We actually have a training request form on our website that's helpful as well. And we've added COVID training there also. Sec. So kind of just essentially answer that. Let me know that you got that. But also, again, my email is rtag@dominionpayroll.com. I am more than happy to help you with that personally, or get you in touch with somebody who can. I don't know everything. Sometimes you need to reach out to other people to get help. So, but I'm happy to coordinate that for you if you need assistance. And like I said, if you are new, set up one of those one-on-one trainings. We also do group trainings throughout the month on various topics like report writer, basic payroll, things like that. Okay. So Connie, I'll reach out to you after the webinar and talk to you about that. Feel free to shoot me an email too, if you'd like. So I'd like to just kind of open it up one more time just for questions. This will be reported to if you want to reference it later. And we'll be sending out a link with a playlist of this webinar series that includes, like I said, share and perform, covered benefits administration, our new user interface, or some of the other topics that we've covered. But again, I would love suggestions. All right. Okay. So if there aren't any questions, I will close it down. I really appreciate y'all's time. And again, my name is Ryan. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always happy to help. Okay. Thank you all. Have a great day.